Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Roundtable Discussion. I'm joined alongside Darian Coleman, Thomas Jordan, Shabazz Gordon, and Chris Moore, and my name is Byron Dixon. Today we're here to preview the NBA season. The NBA season tips off in less than 2 weeks. And what we're going to do here today, we're going to go down the East and the Western Conference and just give you a little taste of who we think will be where when the season ends. And we'll also do some preseason awards as well. So, fellas, we're all here today. As you know, the NBA season starts fresh off the shortest off season, only about 3 months. The last time we talked about basketball, the Spurs are holding up yet another, Larry O'Brien trophy under the tutelage of Greg Popovich. So, Darian, starting with you, we're going to start in the East. We all know the East has had a little changeover. LeBron going back home, a lot of competitive teams. So, how do you think the East will play out?
I'm going to start from the bottom. I think the 8th seed in the East will be the Brooklyn Nets. I think they have just a lot of veteran talent. Even though they get hurt often, Darren Williams is off and on with his injuries. Joe Johnson kind of picks and chooses when he wants to perform. But I think there's too much veteran leadership on that team for them to completely miss the playoffs. So I think they'll finish 8th. In 7, I have the Charlotte Hornets. I think Kemba Walker and Lance Stevenson, our new all-season addition, should come in and produce for them right away. I think Michael Jordan's starting to make strides as general manager.
No more Kwame Browns, right?
No more Kwame Browns.
No
more Adam Morrison.
He needed to make strides.
Yeah, he's coming along, and I think that team is as well. They'll probably finish 7th in the East. Number 6, I have the New York Knickerbockers. Phil Jackson in his first year, as well as Derek Fisher, head coach in the team. I think they'll install the triangle offense and have Melo be the focal point. I think if he makes strides on the defensive end, they can go a lot further. But right now, I have them 6th. Number 5, the 4-time defending Eastern Confernce champion Miami Heat with Luol Deng and Dwayne Wade, Danny Granger. A lot of off-season moves they made to offset the loss of LeBron. Number 4, the Toronto Raptors. They're a talented young team led by Kyle Lowry, who should make the All-Star team this year. Number 3, one of the most talented backcourts in the league, Washington Wizards. John Wall, Bradley Beal. John Wall took big strides last year. I think he'll continue to grow. They have a nice overall rotation of players. Number 2, the Chicago Bulls with their rookie Doug McDermott, who I think should start from day 1 because he's that good. Derrick Rose should actually stay healthy for more than 10 games this year. And they added Pau Gasol, still have Taj Gibson and Joakim Noah down low, so they should fight in the post. And number 1, the new big 3, LeBron and Cleveland, with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. I think they'll be the most talented team in the East, and they should probably finish first.
All right, Darren. So, Thomas, I'm going to go to you. Give us your 8 teams in the East.
All right. Well, I think definitely this year the East Conference will be a lot more competitive, even at the bottom teams. Darren, I'll start at the bottom. Number 8, I actually have the New York Knickerbockers. I think this year learning the triangle offense, I think it's going to take them a while to understand the tutelage of it and different aspects to it. So it might get to a slow start, but I think they have a lot of talent, especially Melo in there, to make the playoffs. At number 7, unfortunately, hurts me. I'm saying New Jersey Nets. I'm a Nets fan. I think that Brooklyn Nets actually.
Nets fan, you don't even know the team name.
Well, I think getting Brook Lopez back is going to definitely help out a lot. But I think other teams in the East have made more improvements than us. So I think it might take a little step back, but at the same time, through enough veteran leadership, that will make us in the playoffs. At number 6, I have the Charlotte Hornets. I definitely like the Lance Stevenson pickup. Marvin Williams is a nice little pickup as well. So I like the little veteran pickups they have with the team. Should keep them competitive. Number 5, the Washington Wizards. I think it'll be very competitive in that division. I think they might just stick 1 game behind the Heat at the end of the day. But I think John Wall, but I think with Bradley Beal being injured, might have a little slow start. Number 4, I have the Miami Heat, winning training champs. I think they've had that championship pedigree. Even with LeBron leaving, they still have enough veterans on that team. Chris Bosh can still hold it down for him. Dwayne Wade, Luol Deng, Justin Roberts. Some good pickups there. Be around. Number 3, I have the Toronto Raptors. I think last year, the number 3 seed, they brought all their players back, re-signed. That's something very hard to do in today's economic competitiveness. And I think that they have all the pieces back, so I think they'll really improve. Number 2, I have the Cavs. I think LeBron and boys, they're going to be bad. They're going to be very good. They're going to definitely get everything together, but at the same time, it'll take a little bit to get all the continuity together. And number 1, I have the Bulls. I think the Bulls definitely have a complete team in the East right now in terms of just chemistry-wise. Everybody be comfortable playing with each other in the system. I think Derrick Rose is going to have a real good season, maybe MVP-type season. And I think they'll show off and get the most wins, but I think the Cavs might come out the East, though. But the regular season, I have the Bulls.
All right, Thomas, thank you. Shabazz, who's going to win the East, and what do you think the Bulls going to be?
Well, I'm going to start 8. I have the Detroit Pistons. I feel like Brandon Jennings is going to take a big step this year in improving the roster. KCP is going to take a big step off the bench this year and become a starter.
I have a question about that. Do you think Josh Smith is going to stop shooting jump shots?
I can't tell you he will, but if he does, they will be
At least shoot him
a
less.
force.
At least shoot him less.
Much less.
7, I have Charlotte with the all-New York backcourt. I think Kemba Walker and Lance will have an incredible year together. I think they're going to mesh right off the bat. At 6, I have New York. Bringing Phil and Fisher in, I feel like Melo would take a step in trying to become a winner at the NBA level. 5, I have Toronto. I really like Terrence Ross and DeRozan and Lowry. I feel like that nucleus can create problems in the East. At 4, I have the Miami Heat, and I feel like Dwayne Wade is going to take the step back to superstardom and average around 24 points per game. At 3, I have the Wizards because of the young, flashy backcourt, Paul Pierce. Hopefully, we have an Otto Porter sighting this year. 2, I have Chicago. A healthy D Rose, Paul Gasol addition, Jimmy Butler, Coach Tibbs. I feel like they will be right back up there in the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. And then at number 1, of course, I have LeBron, Kyrie, the Cavaliers. I feel like they can win around 65 games this year because they're so explosive with the starting lineup. Kevin Love, Deion Waiters, LeBron James, Kyrie, and Tristan Thompson. I think they're going to bring Virgil off the bench, and I feel like they will be very complete and might have a good shot at winning the NBA title.
Thanks for that, Chris. 8 teams in East.
Starting at the bottom, I'll go to the 8 with the Knicks. Like you said, I think there's going to be growing pains at the beginning of the season with this triangle offense. J.R. Smith has already said he's struggling with it, and he needs to change the way he plays. So I think they have a lot of me guys, and it's going to take a little while. But I do think that the bottom half of the Eastern Conference is weak enough for them to get to the playoffs. 7, I have the Knicks. We all talked about it, the veteran leadership. And the loss of Brook Lopez really went overlooked last year when the playoffs came up. The Nets, yes, yeah. Yeah, the Nets at 7. The loss of Brook Lopez really hurt them last year. I think when he's back, he'll help them. 6, I have the Hornets. The addition of Wayne Stevenson is really going to help this team. They were the 7 seed with the worst team last year. I think they'll continue to make strides. 5, the Miami Heat. I actually say that Chris Bosh is going to take that step back into superstardom. I'm a big Chris Bosh fan. I think he caught a lot of flack for no good reason in the past couple of years. He's going to get back to being a superstar. 4, I have the Toronto Raptors. This is a very similar team to last year, except they're another year older and they've been there and they have more experience. I think that's going to be a very good team. The Wizards, great backcourt, one of the best in the league. And I think the addition of Paul Pierce, as I was talking with Byron earlier, I think that Paul Pierce can help the Bradley Beal injury in the beginning of the season. He can help cover that, and then he rests a little bit, and then come playoff time, you have the guy who's been there and done that. He can help get him over the hump. 2, I have the Chicago Bulls, and the only reason I don't have them at 1 is their style of play leads me to believe that they could wear down a little bit at some point in the season. I don't think it will be at the end. I think this team will be ready for the playoffs. Their style of play is very physical. They could get banged up a little bit at some point, but I fully expect a 100% Chicago Bulls for the playoffs. Number 1, Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think I need to say much. They're going to be a force and tough to stop.
Well, guys, before I give out my list, I want to get some honorable mentions. As you know, the Eastern Conference, we all have a lot of teams who fight for the 8th spot, so I'm just going to give some shout-outs real quick. Atlanta Hawks, I know people aren't thinking about them, but they were good last year, even without Al Horford, their best player, one of the better low-post players in the league, even though he's a little undersized. I think they'll be competitive, but I don't think they'll make it. Then, Brooklyn Nets. Brook Lopez coming back, best center in the league, arguably when healthy. And I like the hire of Lionel Hollins, one of the best coaches in the league. Kind of hard to explain why he had no job last year, but those are politics. Back to my list, we'll go to number 8. Stan Van Gundy, now president of basketball operations and coach. I like to take on for a guy who's only been to one NBA final, but I think he has a pedigree. I think the Pistons get in with Monroe, Drummond, and those guys. I think Brandon Jennings, like Spaz says, takes a big step. 7, Miami Heat. I know people are going to look at me like I'm crazy, but I have 3 questions. Can they defend the paint? Can they knock down perimeter shots? And is their bench production going to stay for the whole season? No LeBron James, so they don't have a guy who can carry them through the regular season. 6, Charlotte Hornets. Yes, Charlotte Hornets are back. Lance Stevenson, Kemba Walker, and people forget about one of the best players in the league, Al Jefferson. Big Al, I like to call him.
Big
and like
Al.
you said, Michael Jordan is doing an excellent job down there in Charlotte. No more Kwame Brown, Tyrese Thomas of the world, Adam Morrison. But he's making some good picks. Michael K. Gilchrist can defend and rebound. You know, Michael K. Gilchrist can defend and rebound. Got some depth with P.J. Harrison, Nick Vonleh on the bench. So I think they have some good players. Marvin Williams, like Thomas said. Number 5, New York Knicks. The Zen Master, a sense of calm over the New York franchise for the first time in a long time. Derek Fisher's the coach. He'll listen to Phil. He'll do whatever Phil wants.
Yep.
Pretty much Phil is a coach, but you know, Derek Fisher's just the face
Derek
right
Fisher's
now.
going to go on the road.
He's just
and
going
be
to
the
right. So when he's not there, I think Melo, one of the better players in the league. People give him a lot of slack. But he does play hard. And he had one of the best seasons statistically people don't talk about last year, even through all that turmoil. Now, Tyson Chandler and J.R. Smith show up last year, they're in the playoffs easily.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Washington was, I think, one of the best backcourts in the league. Bradley Beal is hurt, but John Wall, Paul Pierce, I like the inside guys of Nene and Gortat. The Polish Hammer, I think they'll be able to get it done and sustain it. And Paul Pierce. But I think Paul Pierce been able to knock down. You know what he's going to do in the crush down, that left step back 15-footer, but it works, and I think it'll help this team. Number 3, Toronto Raptors, a team I love. Dwayne Casey's done an excellent job. He was a defensive coordinator on that Mavericks team, and they won a championship. And you look at Terrence Ross, DeMar DeRozan playing on the FIBA World Championship game. That's only going to elevate his game. Kyle Lowry, all-star caliber. Pat Patterson back. You have that. Lou Williams, I think people don't talk about. That was a great pickup in the offseason, and I think he'll be a great pickup for them. And you also have number 2, Chicago Bulls. I think Derrick Rose will be back. I think Derrick Rose is one of the best players in the league when healthy. Doug McDermott. Jimmy Butler's gotten better every year, getting a little bit better. I think he'll be better. And Joe Noah. He could have been an MVP last year, consideration. Defensive player of the year. He's going to shut it down. Taj Gibson, and you know what Paul Gasol can do with that offense. Number 1, Cleveland Cavaliers. Not much need to be said. Best player in the world. Kyrie Irving. And you got Deion Waiters. You have Kevin Love, who can go out and get 20 rebounds for you. Virgil, Tristan Thompson, Sean Murray, Ray Allen probably show up sometime this year. Mike Miller, James Jones, shall we continue? But we all know what's going to happen in the East. I think the Cavaliers. Let's not forget, LeBron won 61 games with a horrible supporting cast. Mo Williams. I'm not going to say horrible, mediocre. I think they'll win at least 65 games this year. So, that being said, real quick, who are your 2 teams that will play in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I think my 2 teams to get to the Eastern Conference Finals are no surprise. The Bulls and the Cavaliers are going to get there. They're the 2 best teams in the conference.
Who takes it?
Cleveland in 7.
2 teams.
Like everyone else, Bulls and Cavs. I think it's the Bulls here. Derrick Rose is his one chance to get to the finals. I'm going Bulls.
Any number of games or just
7?
Well, mine is a little different. I got the Cavs versus the Heat in the conference finals, and I got the Cavs winning in 6.
Chris?
Cleveland, Chicago, Cleveland in 6.
Cleveland, Chicago, and I think Cleveland in 6. I think once they put it together.
Yeah, I think by that time they'll be together.
So that's our take on the East. We'll be right back after this with our take on the ever tough Western Conference.